Cool. Welcome guys. Welcome to Book Club Season 3, Episode 1. Today we have 12 Rules of Life by Jordan Peterson. About the author. Author is a clinical psychologist. So in terms of work, what he does is he observes, he talks to and observes people. And he has various. He's one of the very few scientists जो जिन्हें research करके and who's famous on YouTube because he's invited to various debates and he's invited to various shows and he shoots out his own videos from his classes and on very simple basic things that people know, often ignore, and how they are important and how they affect them. Let's say if you think how I have simplified it, imagine he simplifies to the granular level that you can understand, relate, and let's say improve. So one of his very famous and sort of infamous video is about why there is a disparity of why there is a gender pay gap, and he defends that very strongly with logical reasoning. And as you know, हम भी even if we feel that let's say even if we feel okay, I am putting in more hours or more effort compared to that, let's say lady in my team, we are not able to strongly defend it because we might think that okay, this is right, but he's strongly able to defend that various controversial topics with actual reasoning. Hence he's very hence he's very famous. So my interest in that particular person, or let's say the author, started from that infamous video. There was a very famous discussion about gender pay gap on a British BBC actual live show, and where the anchor was very suppressive of let's say suppressing in terms of trying to dominate the author we have here. And he literally proves that why her behavior has made her successful by not being agreeable. Let's say women tend to get less pay rise compared to men because men disagree more. Men disagree more and they fight for their rights more, and women tend to be more agreeable. Let's say if I say simple thing like do this and do this, and let's say if I spread that on a sample set, exactly same task, and that might be conflicting in terms of interest and let's say whatever you believe, women will tend to agree more, and hence the more you agree to someone, your value diminishes. Hence when your value diminishes, hence your power to let's say have a conversation about okay, I deserve more diminishes. So that is the kind of very deep learning he has done, and that piqued my interest. So that is what we are talking about. His one of the recent books is 12 Rules of Life. It's again very simple book, but there again I'll talk about very good reasoning behind them, why he recommends these 12 rules of life everyone should follow for let's say to have a better life. So first of all, let's start with one. First rule is very simple.
Very odd group of people sitting together. That's a book club.
अब तो फंस गए कौन है?
अब तो कुछ बोल भी नहीं सकते.
You are supposed to be.
अरे तो अभी तक जितना हुआ है TLDR इसमें बोला लोगों को ज़्यादा पैसे इसलिए मिलते हैं क्योंकि वो ज़्यादा डिसएग्री करते हैं. लड़कियाँ डिसएग्री नहीं करती.
तो इन रीजनिंग के साथ तो अबाउट द ऑथर what piqued my interest. Have a seat. जल्दी हो जाएगा.
Special guest of today.
That's the reason I was not able to pass. उसको odd बोला ना, odd set of people ने बोला.
मतलब इस रूम में आप ही बजे थे जिसने कमेंट नहीं मारा था.
Cool. So my time, guys. So the first rule is hold your head high and strike a posture of a winner. Hold your head high, strike a posture of a winner. What do you mean by that? Everybody has heard of a winner. Let's say that behave like you are a winner. Let's say people say, first rule of confidence is fake it. And let's say act confident. You might be underconfident internally. Just fake it. Why this say so? Everybody has heard of pecking order. There's always a pecking order. Why he says that? Where does that term originate from? Is that term originates from the farms that where chicken peck, and it's the stronger chickens who gets to eat first, to peck first. Hence the pecking order. Okay, these are the strong chickens who will eat first, and let's say the weaker chickens will eat later. And the more they dominate and let's eat first, the strength improves, and the chances of let's say staying high on that hierarchy is always higher compared to the chickens who were, let's say fight back enough and didn't eat first. Started from that. That's the origin of the term pecking order. And then he talks about lobsters. Lobster, like a fight in lobster. When a lobster fights, two lobster fights, they all assume an aggressive stance. They try to float. Let's say they try to increase their surface area and sort of, let's say, expanding in terms of whatever way they can, and they fight like that. And very often, the one who, let's say, makes a posture of I'm more aggressive wins without even fighting. So what he correlates that to is when you actually win a fight in lobster, when a lobster wins a fight, the level of serotonin and octamine in that lobster increases. Hence, his confidence in himself increases, and hence his aggressive nature or making ability to make a better posture increases. So that correlates to the pecking order that there is in hens. Okay, so the more you are winner or you act as a winner, like lobster acting as a winner, the chances of you actually winning that fight are higher, and hence your survival are higher, and let's say your performance are higher. That is what he says. And there is a hierarchy in, let's say, humans also. Always historically there has always been a hierarchy in humans. There are two types of hierarchy. One is dominance hierarchy, and there is a competence hierarchy. Both are different in the sense that dominance hierarchy is simply you are above me, hence I have to follow you. A competence hierarchy is you're better than me, hence I follow you. And then he talks about why competence hierarchy is sustainable in long run. But that competence hierarchy also comes from a little dominance hierarchy. Okay, I believe I am better than you, hence you believe in me. So the pecking order and the lobster behavior relates to humans like that. So, and the more confident you have and have a good posture, like let's say I'm standing like this. Take a live example. I'm giving this presentation and I'm giving this like this. Okay, I'm going to talk about it. And I'm standing upright, facing you guys, keeping my shoulders back and acting confident. So I might be saying the same thing, but let's say your belief in what I am saying is different, just because of I have the posture. So hence he says, be confident, sit uptight. So you should not slouch on your, let's say, desk. You should not, let's say, walk like your shoulder down. Just even if you're having a bad day, just keep your shoulders high. Believe that you are the winner in that. Cool. That's the first rule. Take care of yourself like you do for others. What do he mean by that is, take care of yourself like you care for others. What he mean by that is, imagine a case, let's say you have a dog. People love their dogs, and you take that dog is sick. You take that dog to a vet, and that dog is sick. So the vet will prescribe a medicine. You'll immediately run to get that medicine for your dog. So a human's tendency to take care of others has always been greater. And if the same scenario happened to you, statistically, 1/3 of people ignore that, let's say, prescription that doctor has prescribed, because they believe the reason is that we know our flaws. Everybody has flaws. We personally know our flaws, and there is a feeling of self-punishment also, and unworthiness of feeling good. So some people tie that कि okay, I'm sick, but ठीक है, मुझे तो थोड़ा झेलना चाहिए, क्योंकि मतलब से मैंने किसी और चीज़ के आपको बारे में अपने बारे में लगता है, तो hence people tie to that. So people tend to take less care of themselves compared to how they behave if somebody in their family is sick. Imagine the same care. Let's say when you catch cold, something as simple as cold, the amount of the same happens. Your mom take care of yourself is higher than what she'll do if she catches cold. Very simple example, which is common. Another very simple rule is choose your friends wisely. Why he says that is, people have, what managers in various corporate organizations have done that is, there is a high performing team, and if there's somebody new, or let's say somebody a little bit underachiever, and if I place that underachiever in a very high performing team, and his belief is, okay, the team environment is so high, that underperformer will catch good things from the high performing group and will take an uplift. But rather, other side of the coin happens. People actually try to take the bad habit first, and the high performing group tend to slouch more and slack more. So the rule was choose your friends wisely. So why real friend exists is when you need a boost for whatever reason which is there. Uh, he doesn't say have 10, 15 or 20 people as friends. He says have 2 or 3 very good friends. Then when you actually need a boost, when you're actually low, you have people to trust and they can give you uplift. And you can do the same for them. Another fact is there, when you need a real fact check, those people will do that because they don't have any direct monetary or any benefit from that. So when you think, when you're over your head, those people will bring you down to reality. Hence he asks, choose your friends very highly. You can have various colleagues. Choose your friends very highly. Be very selfish in choosing your friends.
Like design does the product.
श्रीपद करता है श्रीपद को कुछ भी बोलो क्यों बैठो
ठीक है. Fourth rule is compare yourself to your own past compared to others. So again, these all rules are very simple. As I said,
Compare with others also.
No,
Don't
compare yourself to your own past rather than
Not with
comparing to
others.
others. Again, as I said earlier, these are not very new wisdom that I'm talking about, but it's about the reasoning why he recommends these rules. So why he says that is there was earlier people were very famous for he was a philosopher. We still remember various philosophers, right, from past. People so it was very easy to be a big fish in a small pond, that he was trying to say. But the rise of internet has finished that. There is no small pond anywhere now. So the chances of you for someone to be out there who is better than you is so high that there is likelihood that there will always be someone who is better than you than exactly what you are doing. And so there is no concept of a big fish, which is actually there in current connected world. And some, let's say, add-ons to it is we self-criticism is always better, but always winning is not better. Always, if you think you're always winning, that is a red flag. If you observe that, I'm doing, let's say, very simple example, very out of this context. Let's say if you're getting very simple as continuous good appraisals. Let's say after every 6 months, then and you haven't improved inside. Something is wrong. So continuous winning is not wrong. So you should always compare yourself to your past rather than मैंने अच्छा कर लिया, इसने खराब कर लिया तो मैं बेटर हो गया था. ये वाली जो फीलिंग बहुत ही ह्यूमन नेचर में डीपली इंग्रेंड है, वो आपको एज अ रूल नहीं करनी चाहिए. That is what he tries to say.
assessment process तो definitely
he makes again a very bold statement, very simple and bold statement is, fifth rule is, it's parents' responsibility to raise a responsible child. Why? Reasoning behind that is some bad name. Jean-Jacques Rousseau wrote a very famous book back in 1700s. He claimed that old people are good, and the new wars that the wars that are happening in the world have made people aggressive, hence bad people. That was his observation, and he wrote a book about it. He was very famous. But that is true. With more wars, people have always been aggressive. Understand that. And with the content that we are consuming right now, let's say the people have seen in the past few centuries. Hence, newborn childs are always born with aggressive instincts. And he says that it's the parent's responsibility to curb that instinct and make him a very simple, understanding, and a careful, responsible child. That is the rule. If you are a parent, it is your responsibility. And it's not like he goes about 3 rules that a parent should follow. Very simple rules. He says limit the rules that you have. You cannot force your child to be. You cannot do this. You cannot do this. You cannot paint on the wall. You cannot let's say you cannot paint on the wall. You can paint on the floor. Child gets that freedom. You cannot go out after 8 months. Limit the amount of rules that you have. So the importance of rules is there. And if you restrict everything, the importance of rules will go away. And this is very important. Minimum necessary force. So what he means by that, if you slap your child for writing on a wall, the importance of that slap will diminish so high when he actually makes some mistakes. Let's say watching some content that he or she should not be watching for his age, and you slap on that point, importance will not be there. It's the same mistake for a child's upbringing. कि दीवार पे लिखना was equivalent to, let's say, watching something bad at age of 9. So limit your physical contact. So make minimum force necessary. Okay, this kind of offense has been done. This kind of force has to be used. That is the one thing that should always be in back of your mind when you pass judgment. We all do that. If you have cousins, small cousins, or let's say if you are parents, we all do that.
Is he up for maintaining the importance of a slap?
Yes. Use the slap when yes. He tries to understand that use the force when it's absolutely necessary. Else, the importance of that slap will go away.
And I think example. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's about the slap.
It's about force.
The force in general. Force can be.
And like, your voice also. Shut up, man. Go sit there. You've done it for 30 days.
Like, for example, see, come on. मान लो आपका घर में maid है, ठीक है, and now he or she is not doing something really well, ठीक है, मैं say कि यार दीदी ऐसा मत करो, ठीक है, 2 times, और you may start shouting for every small thing. पहले वाले जन्म में if she is like she has other opportunity she will leave, या नहीं तो आप चलाते रहोगे तब भी वो कुछ नहीं करेगी, क्योंकि हर छोटी चीज़ के लिए चलाएगा क्या फर्क पड़ेगा, right? So similarly with some bad managers. So it's about the force which comes in a conversation or in a reaction which you are showcasing, not just.
So it's not necessary.
For example, slap liya.
It's not. That is my example, honestly. It's not necessary to for child also. We as grown up also do that mistake. Our reactions also, if our reaction is common, moms are very guilty of this. Honestly, moms are very guilty across India at least. Very guilty of this. If they shout of every small thing, hence we tend to ignore. हाँ माँ तो चिल्लाती ही हैं. Whereas people have that because जब चिल्लाया, we have registered that as a child कि ये तो मैं जूता यहाँ नहीं फेंक रही तो गुस्सा हो जा रही है. That is important. But let's say limit the rules. But हाँ, अगर let's say मैं आधा घंटे लेट आई, कोई बात नहीं. The moment I cross let's say an hour, that is the point you should sit down. You need to be here by 8. So that is the difference.
I think ये positive rewards में भी काम करेगा. मतलब we can think our case अगर हम सारे customers को same ही reward देंगे तो बोलेंगे मेरे लिए special क्या है. तो हर किसी को अलग-अलग intent के हिसाब से
हमको देख के बोल जिसको बोल.
And he also says that third upbringing rule is come in pairs. Like in offer to save face, the mother and father tend to behave differently. Say if mother enforces a rule, father should honor that. And if a father enforces a rule, mother should honor that. It doesn't because if you don't honor that,
then उसका मतलब
खत्म हो गया. The importance of rule will go away. Importance of the amount of force that he used to enforce that will go away. That's why it's very important to come and forth. Like women tend to let's say like मेरा बेटा है आजा बेटा, but father tend to more stern. But if they come in pair, okay, I'll take care of this. He does that. You'll take care of this, and you agree on whatever I say and decide. That is the best way for your child to, let's say, first 2 rules to stay intact.
Yeah. Has he quoted any experiments about this?
Very similar. I will not be able to cover the.
उसने कुछ quote करके बताया होगा ना कि in this case it was seen कि ऐसा हुआ.
Examples, story example. ऐसे random examples हैं. Statistical examples नहीं है. और random examples हैं कि ऐसा करते तो ऐसा होता है. This is what I have observed. But I'm trying to just give you a gist. This is again very simple. Rule number 6 is world is fulfilled with injustice. Do not blame others. The reasoning for it that is challenges and suffering are not cause of despair for you specifically. The challenge and the suffering that you are facing. Leo, there is again he quotes a very famous book by Leo Tolstoy, Confession. What do I do but with all the suffering and challenge that I am facing? Leo Tolstoy came up with 4 options that you have as a human. He said first option is childlike ignorance, ignore everything. Then he says, I don't know what that word means. Hedonistic pleasure. Third is.
मतलब पता है
बताओ मत, हमें नहीं पता।
काफी लोगों को पता है.
Third is suicide.
किसको पता है?
Third is suicide.
क्या होता है?
हम
वो
काम
लोग
वाले ना.
होते हैं जिनको बस pleasure चाहिए होता है, those are hedonists. वो consider the meaning of life is solely pleasure. They are only good.
Physical pleasure.
Physical pleasure.
Material
in the
pleasure.
sense कि हाँ बस लगे रहो. ठीक है. Third is and he said is third is suicide. कुछ नहीं कर सकते मर जाओ.
चौथा होना चाहिए. चौथा होना चाहिए. लास्ट को तो सुनते हैं ये तीसरा.
And fourth is keep struggling despite everything.
When you are attempting for suicide.
Keep struggling.
Keep
Keep struggling. And as you know, like, majority of the जनता falls in the fourth category. हाँ, so why he says that is कि there उसने कुछ example quote किए कि लियो टॉल्स्टॉय quote कर दिया उन्होंने कि ये थे conventional wisdom उस time का ये था, but which doesn't hold true. Don't blame other people for the suffering that you're the bad that you're suffering. The example would be, this is my opinion, forget about author. Let's say if you, let's say, people you felt racial abuse, or you felt when you're growing up, or you felt let's say the classism or the casteism that is prevalent, and you those incidents felt, yes, those are struggling, and let's say those are the people tend to blame others because ये ऐसा कर रहा है इसलिए मैं परेशान हूँ, which is true in some extent. But your state of mind should not be your life as a person should not be modeled around that. That is what he tries to convey. And he gives some example. I'm not able to pronounce the words, so I'm skipping them. This is good. This is for corporate people like us. It is about sacrifices can be meaningful and find meaning over immediate pleasure. Sacrifice can be meaningful. His seventh rule is sacrifice can be meaningful, find meaning over pleasure. What he says that is example of monkey and a cookie jar. There's a monkey and there's a cookie in the jar with cookies. Monkey tries to grab those cookies. The neck of that jar is narrow. The hand can go in, but it cannot come out. Just because he wanted that, the monkey wanted that sugarless. So what he tries to say is that just by immediate pleasure of having that cookie, he is going to, let's say, suffer a little bit. But he didn't find meaning in life by making those cookies. And this is the price of greed that we all pay. That is what he's trying to say. Ki to get something immediate, we get clutched into various things that we are not able to get out just because of our immediate greed. That is what he's trying to say. And he also tries to question how many of us are actually willing to sacrifice or something like that. But it's because we often chase various things, and often people say that it is good to chase few things if you have those are very clearly defined. Example, people very successful people have chased just pure materialistic things and done often good due to that. Let's say people have chased, I want to be, let's say, a billionaire now, and in order to do that you have to create an empire. And people have subsequently, let's say, created jobs for so many people just by doing their fulfilling their greed. So there have been other side of the example. That is my take. So he also the moment he says how many of us are willing to sacrifice, he says we often tries to go for things that makes us happy immediately, and though we know they can be bad. Example is the prevalent use of drugs, sexual abuse, or let's say whatever the industries those are there which serve these human let's say limitations, or let's say pleasure seeking behavior that are there. So he says, what do he mean by he gives an example of sacrifice. In old time, tribes used to keep the food that they have accumulated in summers for winters. People used to eat less. People used to eat less because they knew, if I sacrifice right now, the suffering that I am going to have in winters will be less. So it's not like this is the concept of, let's say, sacrificing is new. It has been deeply ingrained. We tend to avoid that often. And he gives an old example of Bible, like why Adam was kicked by God to, let's say, observe human suffering, observe humans क्या वो?
हम भी तो facing करते हैं.
Observe human suffering, and hence humanity is corrupted. That is the old reference that he tries to make. he says be like a lotus plant. Be like a lotus plant. A lotus plant, before it has to blossom in that muddy lake, it has to grow. It has to grow from very small. What do you call it? That small plant. Seed, not exactly
Bud,
seed, but
bud.
bud from to grow its stems slowly. Then, after so much time, it can blossom. So what the corollary is? Yes, he suffered for that. So, he suffered from that long and that suffering, so that it can ultimately blossom, can stay there. What he will try to be a flower at that moment? Okay, I'll fly, but the mud is so bad. And yes, again, this is also common. Rule number 8 is lies are a common tool for self-deception. For self-deception, but we should strive towards truthful living. And this is a very good. If you want to take let's say take away from this is strength of your character is judged by how much undiluted truth that you can listen to. Okay, so if you are able as a person, undiluted in the sense, एकदम very blunt truth about yourself, your behavior, or your, let's say, your actions, whatever they are, and how much you are able to listen to them undiluted. That is the strength of your character. That is what he's trying to say. Strength of a person. We often let's strive for what we think, what we want. So we believe that we know whatever that there is to know. So example is, okay, I want a retirement in Miami with infinite number of margaritas, and I keep believing and keep telling myself lies. Okay, if I do this, I do invest in this scheme, I invest in that scheme, this will happen. So we keep telling lies to ourselves. That is what he's trying to say. Even though I may be allergic to someone, but I'll keep telling those lies. Like, okay, मैं कुछ देख लेगा तो technology improve हो जाएगी. But very simple. Like, we keep telling lies to ourselves. Rule number 9 is, this is good. That is why we are having this. This is irony. Conversation are an opportunity to learn, grow, and not to compete. You all guys, conversations are an opportunity to grow, learn, and not to compete. In a sense, you guys are here patiently listening to whatever simple things that I'm saying, because you believe, okay, this whatever time you're spending right now here is not going to learn. There might be something that this guy has spent time on, I can grasp. There might be something, the discussion that we'll have, learn from something. That is what he's trying to say. So whenever you are having conversation, try not to compete and dominate in terms, okay, I'll prove I'm the better person or I have more knowledge. Let's say our example would be the standards that we have. Okay, standards that we have, and let's say somebody says, okay, I'm not able to do this because of this reason, and you take that, okay, this is compete, rather than to learn. Instead of asking, okay, what is the reason? Did you actually have anything that blocked or something else came in? You just say, okay, but I could have done this a day ago, and it was so simple. So then that conversation goes in a track of, I'm competing with you. Hence, neither I am learning about the thing that they are there, neither you are learning in terms of, okay, what I could have improved. So when you say, look, I have wrote this blog, let's say the person who earlier said I could have done this a day ago, would have said, okay, these are the mistakes that you did, please avoid them at the next time. And that learning can be taken to the next conversations that are going to be. Again, the complexity of rule number 10 is the complexities of life should be confronted with clear and precise language. What do he means by that? If you go to a doctor and you say पेट में दर्द हो रहा है, what will the doctor do? And if you say, मैंने आज सुबह जैसे let's say मिष्टी दही खाई थी, उसके 15 मिनट के बाद से मेरे पेट में दर्द हो रहा है. Now the context is very different for doctor. For his search from what all stomach related diseases that can be there to what allergy that you have due to the ingredients that you ate in that period of time is different. So the life is very complex. There is insane amount of things that are happening, and you should, as a person, should try to whatever you are trying to say, simple, precise language, so that the context is clear or the actionables are clear. Very simple जो हम बोलते हैं. This is a good one. This is you might. There are bad this is a controversial one. He says there are bad and oppressive men out there. Okay, but we must avoid suppressing human nature. We must avoid suppressing nature. So what he tries to say that they are there because of some reason. So let's try to understand that. He talks about he gives a little background. Socialism as a concept was very strongly, let's say, brought up in England due to the state of miners. माइनस ऑफ सफरिंग, तो बहुत लो वेज है, माइनस बहुत ज़्यादा कमा रहे हैं, ये लोग यहाँ पर रगड़ रहे हैं, कुछ पैसा नहीं कमा रहे हैं, तो सोशलिज्म स्कीम की ब्रेड हम फ्री में बांटनी चाहिए, ये करनी चाहिए. सोशलिज्म एज बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग जैसे अपलिफ्ट मिला था इंग्लैंड में तो 1930s उसके टाइम पे, आई डोंट रिमेंबर एग्जैक्टली. And he gives so we'll connect that, and he gives the traditional patriarchy that we have for centuries or decades or whatever time that you can recall human existence is there. He says so various people have written critical theories. Critical theory was, there was a concept of critical theory was remove these dominant male men. So indefinitely what you are trying to say, people who are, let's say, dominating the pile, just remove them. This was coined as the critical theory to solve for this, to solve for the oppressive men. Then he said, the moment you don't realize what, if you think the strong people are bad, you have no idea what weak people can do. What weak people can do if given a leash. Okay, so and those people are there because of some reason. Try to understand that. And so here, so what he tries to say, why you should not oppress human nature is, those people are there, but you should not avoid his, let's say, have a system to, let's say, boost for other things that which are not there, let's say boost for women empowerment, or let's say socialism, or let's say the parity of whatever thing that you want to say. But you cannot suppress that nature of that guy being suppressive, because if you let loose these guys, the order will be shifted in a different level of chaos. That is what he tries to say. Example that he gives was of Fight Club, that the movie was, which was there, which uses human conflict, which is very deeply ingrained in everybody, but we suppress that. Every weak person suppress that, and when you let loose that that instinct, the chaos that they can create is immense. That is what Fight Club as a movie is about. And on a different note, and people still, yes, people on a broad level still very much suppress this feeling. That is the reason WWE still works.
Anupam, I just want to add इसमें Stanford prison experiment. If you've heard of it, I think few of them must have heard of it. The idea was they said that hypothesis was कि given anonymity, अगर आप किसी को भी power दे दोगे, they will start suppressing other people. So what they did was they called certain students and they said these guys are prisoners and you are police, and anonymity है, मतलब no one can see your face. They started recording and they did not give them any instructions other than कि तुम prisoners हो तो तुम अंदर होगे और तुम policemen हो तुम बाहर होगे. They started beating the prisoners automatically because उनको पता था कि anonymous है and they have power. तो although उनके behavior में नहीं था, they were randomly selected students, but they became the oppressors. And अचानक से हो गया. Although इसकी भी काफ़ी contradictory theories है because people say कि they knew कि वो policeman है तो उससे bias आ सकता है and things like that. But more or less the idea still persists और अभी भी पढ़ाते हैं books में इसको कि given anonymity and power, anyone can oppress the other party.
And last rule is
online bullying.
हाँ, exactly. वो उसी के ऊपर चलते हैं.
Online bullying.
Trolls. And last rule is very simple. Life is hard and full of sorrow and product iterations. So it's important to celebrate the small joys like book club. That's it.
Impromptu था या पहले से सोच के लिखा?
That's it. From my side.
एक point पे query है मेरी. मतलब I sort of disagree. I think it was the third point when you said yes, or second point कि compare to yourself, not with others. I'll share an example जहाँ पे I feel this itself fails, and then maybe you can answer me. तो लेट्स से या तो कंपेयर टू योरसेल्फ कर लो, उसमें मुझे लगता है प्रॉब्लम ये है कि इवन इफ यू इम्प्रूविंग 1 to 2%, you sort of feel like yeah, you're on a
You're improving.
one. And even thinking in a small pond वाले situation, वहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम होता है small pond वाला. So I can give you an example. When I was doing engineering coaching, so I was in A3 batch in Fiji, which was all about ठीक है, तो I was in like top 2 always. So I was like ठीक है, तो मस्त चल रहा है. But when I actually reached the rankers batch and out of 48 I came at 35, then I realized कि okay, this is the real deal, this is the reality. वहाँ पे वो small part था, उस context में I always felt कि हाँ I'm winning, which was related to appraisal or example. But reality check वही हुआ जब और बड़े context में देखा.
What is happening right now? These are rooms for life, not for that moment. So what he wants you to understand is wherever you are, wherever society, whatever societal structure you are, there will always be people above, let's say above you, and there will always be people, let's say below you. Luckily, from whatever random thing that happened in our life, and we are having this conversation, we are honestly, if statistically, we are very high in the pecking order, and yes, there will still be always people who are doing better than you. And realization would be, लोग comparison करते हैं, अच्छा मैं भी 26 साल का हूँ, मेरे साथ का बंदे ने इंजीनियरिंग की थी, वो अभी यहाँ काम कर रहे थे, पैसे कमाते हैं. People often do that. And मैं भी यहाँ हूँ, जैसे मैं भी सीनियर से पढ़ा था, मैं भी ये थोड़ा वगैरह, let's say I'm not doing that well. And people make that statement, that analysis as they're like, यार मैं अच्छा नहीं कर रहा हूँ, because you're always comparing to somebody who is above you, and there will always be people who will be above you. So that will not sustain. So अभी जैसे अगर तुम वाला एग्जांपल दिख रहे हो तो is it valid?
हाँ मतलब मे बी अगर सेल्फ से करता हूँ तो आई फील लाइक कि आई विल ऑलवेज आई माइट फील अकम्प्लिश्ड इवन विद स्मॉल इम्प्रूवमेंट्स. तो मैं बोलता हूँ कि आई बिलीव कि दोनों चीजें होनी चाहिए.
नहीं तो there was also sub point कि constant winning is always a red flag. The sub point I mentioned that constant, if you think that constant winning is a you're constantly winning, there's a red flag. You should make an honest self-assessment. Self-assessment.
If you are smartest in the room, then you are in the wrong room.
तो शिपन है रूम में तो फिर यार
Yeah, उसमें I have a small point to add. When you assess or compare yourself with your past version of yourself, it also depends on the kind of ambition you have for yourself and the self-respect you have for yourself. 1% improvement को improvement बोला तो दिक्कत है. 1% में बोल सकते हैं कहीं और नहीं बोल सकते. तो
I'll give a very good anecdote.
इसका point ये था कि मतलब realization should be there. मतलब हो सकता है कि मैं कहाँ
मतलब मेरे को ऐसा लगता है ये मॉडल सेल्फ वाला अकेले इनफ नहीं है.
Reference नहीं मिल रहा है.
I still मतलब I was having
नहीं,
discussion
तो-
with other folks कि
तो
you can take other people for motivation, not for comparison.
हाँ, motivation you can take. You can always reset the bound that you say, okay, what I have improved, वो हमेशा डेल्टा तेरे पास है ना.
हाँ
वो that you
वो
can
मेरे
change.
पास होगा.
वो हमेशा चेंज है. तो इसमें लोग जो एक philosophical level पे जो लोग बहुत debate करते हैं इसमें, Buddhism or let's say the philosophy that various Japanese monks follow is minimalism always. Okay, so hence जो उन पे स्टडी की गई, because they follow the philosophy of minimalism and they're happy to do what exactly they do. And when they are hired as, let's say after training, when they are hired as, let's say workers, corporate workers, or let's say factories में, their tendency to, let's say, putting in an extra hour is very less, because they know they have to come to let's say show up at 9, leave at 5, and make 30 bricks. Let's say the bricks, and they'll never strive for 31. So there are pros and cons, but they are more happy in content.
Yeah.
They're more happy in content making those 30 breaks. And even if you fire them, they will do something which will be, whatever they're doing, they will be more happy in content. So it's about that. Let's say दोनों views हैं. I'm not saying these are
context based भी है. When I
Context
heard that,
based,
it is more like यार वो भी मेरा बैचमेट है, वो देखो कहाँ से कहाँ पहुँच गया है और मैं कहाँ. तो this happens very very frequently.
That's why I say
So I think that was the context of that point.
एज पे कंपैरिजन नहीं होना चाहिए, सॉर्ट ऑफ आइडियलिज्म होना चाहिए. वन कि यू टेक मोटिवेशन एंड देन वो एज का बैरियर भी हटा देना चाहिए. इफ आई एम कंपेयरिंग माय सेल्फ टू एवरी अदर 25 ईयर ओल्ड, वो भी बेकार ही कंपैरिजन है टू बी ऑनेस्ट. इट माइट एज वेल बी कि ठीक है 28 ईयर ओल्ड से भी कंपेयर कर सकते हो, बट जस्ट फॉर मोटिवेशन, बिकॉज मे बी अपॉर्चुनिटी ना हो आपके पास वैसे बनने की.